So we're looking at section 6.5 where we're going to find an equation of a line and you're going to be given a slope and a point. Okay, so let's look at the first example. Find the equation of a line. You know your slope is 1 over 2 and it passes through this point 2 and 5. Okay, when you see this equation of a line, you should be thinking y equals mx plus b. That's what an equation of a line is. Every equation has a dependent variable y, an independent variable x. You need to algebraically, if not given to you, calculate the slope, and algebraically, if not given to you, calculate the y-intercept. Okay, so it tells me the slope is 1/2, so I know this m value is 1/2, so I don't need to figure it out because it gave it to me. It tells me what point it passes through. This is not the b value. The b value is the value of y when x is 0. X is not 0 here, it's 2. So we got to figure out, how can we figure out the b value? Generally, you are not given a diagram. I've just drawn a diagram for those of you who want to visually see what we're doing here. Okay, you're not expected to graph it, but this is basically what it is. We've got this line. It passes through this point 2 and 5. We know the slope is 1/2. We do not just graph it and guess what our y-intercept is. If this y-intercept is a fraction and you guess it and you get it wrong, it's wrong. Okay, I'm just showing you what it looks like. Okay, but I'm not expecting you to graph it. What I am expecting you to do is algebraically figure it out. So let's go back here. So I know my slope is 1/2. Oops, I don't want to do that one. Okay, I know b is something I need to look for. Okay, the reason you're given this point 2 and 5 is you're given it an x value and you're given a y value. So I know my x value that I can use is 2 and a y value I can use is 5. I sub all of this into my equation y equals mx plus b, and I algebraically determine my b value. So instead of y, I'm going to put 5. Instead of m, I'm going to put 1 over 2. For x, I'm going to put 2. And for b, that's what I'm looking for. Now I start to simplify this. So remember how to multiply fractions. Numerator with numerator, denominator with denominator. Do not find a common denominator. That will be incorrect, right? Not when you multiply. So I get 5 equals 2 over 2 plus b. Well, I know what 2 over 2 equals. 2 over 2 equals 1. I move that 1 over. I know my y-intercept is 4. Now I write my equation. Therefore, y equals 1 over 2x plus 4. You put your m value in and you put your b value in. Every equation has a dependent and independent variable in it. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, similar question. Okay, again, you're asked to find the equation of a line. So again, you should be thinking y equals mx plus b. This time you're given a slope is negative 1 over 3, another point that it passes through. Once again, this is not your y-intercept. This is a point that it passes through. So here I just kind of, again, did a quick sketch of what it would look like. Okay, so I know my slope is negative 1 over 3. I know that a point that it passes through, I have to algebraically find the y value or the y-intercept. I don't guess it. Right? It's only as accurate as my diagram, which is not very accurate. So we algebraically figure it out, doing the same thing we did in 1a. Okay, so once again, our m value is negative 1 over 3. B is what you need to algebraically figure out. That's unknown. X is negative 4. Y is positive 7. All of this goes into y equals mx plus b, and we're going to algebraically find b. 7 is y. Sorry, m is negative 1 over 3. Sorry, I forgot that negative. Negative 1 over 3. I'm going to times it by x, which is negative 4, and algebraically find b. Once again, Numerator with numerator, multiply it. -1 times -4, +4. 3 times 1, 3. Okay? Now I figure out what b is. Move the 4 over 3. Now I am subtracting. When I subtract, I need to find a common denominator. Anytime you add or subtract, you need a common denominator, which my common denominator here would be 3. This was multiplied by 3 to get 3, so I multiply the 7 by 3 to get 21. Okay, I subtract that, and I get 17 over 3 is my b value. Okay, then you write your equation again. M and b goes back in there. Again, if I try to rely too much on my diagram here, I probably would not get an accurate value for b. So that's why you do it algebraically. Okay, keep things as fractions. You need to know how to handle fractions. It's not going to get any easier with fractions. It gets a little bit more complicated in the years in high school mathematics, the years coming. Okay, so let's look at the last couple. The one thing you have to remember from yesterday is about parallel lines. What do we know about parallel lines? They have the, well, what about their slopes? It is the same. What do we know about perpendicular lines? Their slopes are, this was yesterday's lesson, they are negative reciprocals. You need to have an understanding of yesterday's lesson to understand the questions that we're going to do for number 2. So if you need to re-watch yesterday's video, I suggest you do so. So again, same idea. We're doing the same thing. We're finding equations of lines. So once again, y equals mx plus b, right? When you see this. Now what this question is saying, find the equation of a line that's perpendicular to this line, but also passes through this point. So what does that look like? Looks like something like this. Once again, you are not expected to graph it. So it's perpendicular to the line y equals 4x plus 5. So here's my line that's perpendicular to it that I drew in red, and it passes through the point 6, -2. Once again, this diagram is not 100% accurate. This should be coming at a 90-degree angle, but just so you understand, this is the equation that we're looking for. You have to remember, what is the relationship between perpendicular lines? If this slope is 4, what would this slope be if they're perpendicular? Remember, you need to do the negative reciprocal. So if this is positive, this slope should be negative. And if this is 4, you do the reciprocal of 4, which is -1 over 4. So that's the slope. Not 4, but -1 over 4. And it passes through this point. So there's my x, there's my y, and then we algebraically find the y-intercept. Okay? So we are going to do the same thing. We're going to do the negative reciprocal of 4, which is -1 over 4. B is what we're looking for. X is 6. Y is -2. All of this goes into y equals mx plus b. Okay, put in -2 for y, -1 over 4 for m, 6 for x, and let's find b. Again, multiply the two numerators and the two denominators, so we get -6 over 4. Reduce that to lowest terms, it will be easier. They're both divisible by 2. Move it over, change the sign. You need to find the common denominator here, which is 2. Multiply this by 2, this by 2, so I get -4 over 2 plus 3 over 2. So I know my b value is -1/2. Oops. So now I put my m value and my b value back in, and I get my equation y equals -1 over 4x minus 1/2. Okay, let's look at the next one. So once again, I'm finding equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, but this time I'm told what it's parallel to. Okay, again, you should be thinking about parallel lines. What do you know about parallel lines and their slopes? They are the same. Can I tell when I have something in standard form what the slope is? It's not this number, it's not 3. You need to rearrange this in the form y equals mx plus b, go from standard form to slope-intercept form to see what the slope is. This we did in section 6.2. Once again, if you're unsure how to do it, please rewatch that video. So here's my equation. I only want y on my left side. So anything without a y, I move over. So this 3 changes to a negative. This 24 changes to a positive. I have to divide by the number in front of y, which is negative 12. Okay, now I reduce. This becomes positive. 2 negatives become a positive. 3 over 12 reduces to 1 over 4. 24 divided by negative 12 is negative 2. I know it's parallel to this line. It's not this line, it's parallel to it. So what do I know about parallel lines? The slopes are the same, so I know my slope is 1 over 4. Remember, b is what you're looking for. There's my x, there's my y. Algebraically find b. All of this goes into y equals mx plus b. Negative 5 is y. M 1 over 4. X is 2. Again, you simplify. I know 2 over 4 reduces to 1 over 2. Okay. Move the 1/2 over. Again, you need a common denominator, which is 2 times this by 2, this by 2, negative 10, minus 1 over 2, so b is negative 11 over 2. So once again, your equation, put your m value in at 1/4, your b value in at negative 11 over 2. And that's it.